Hello everyone, welcome to This Day. It is Friday, July 26th. I'm Michael Taylor. I hope you're going to have a great weekend plan. The temperature's going to be a little cooler for us as well, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be heading down to the beach, have some fun walks down there, and maybe get a little tan, a little more tan. Got a little tan going, but you always could do a little more. On today's show, we were going to welcome El Toro Water District's Mike Gaskins. He's going to be talking to us about where we get our water, the treatment process that goes through it, the testing they do, and how they deliver it to us right here in Laguna Woods Village. Then later in the program, Cole Young's here with Sports Corner, so stay tuned for that as well. Hey, we've got some interesting stuff going on Monday we want to tell you about. There's going to be a first aid training on cardiac arrest and stroke. It's going to be held by the folks at Memorial Care Saddleback Medical Center. They have clinical experts who are going to be doing education events so you can learn the signs and symptoms of a cardiac arrest and stroke, as well as the life-saving actions that you can perform as a bystander. If you're an attendee, it's going to be hands-on, where they'll have those little cardiac dummies where you can do the chest compressions and learn how to do all of those things and see the signs of a stroke and what to do if you see that on someone. It's going to be a great event. They're going to have some light food and refreshments will also be offered there for folks. If you'd like to go, make sure you visit memorialcare.org/LW Heart Stroke for more information, or call 714-824-7012, and that's going to be again on Monday, July 29th. Get over there to Clubhouse 2 from 5:30 to 7 p.m. All right, let's take a look at our weather, and we've got a little bit cooler than we had yesterday for sure, a couple degrees, and as we head to the rest of the weekend and the next week, a cooler temperature is going to be almost spring-like. You know, summer, we've had enough summer for a little while. We can use a break, a little return of the marine layer, morning clouds, and that kind of thing as we head into the weekend. So looking forward to it. Just a little bit cooler temperature. Still going to be great, you know, 79, 80 degrees. Can't complain about that. Overnight temperatures in the low 60s, so we'll be able to cool off the house and not have to run the air conditioning so much. So I'll take these kind of temperatures anytime. Look at our sunrise and our sunset while we're at it. And thank you very much, Lori Maloa, for sending us these pictures. She was over the Isle of Man on her vacation, sent us one a little while ago, and here's another one. Really cool pictures of this beautiful farmhouse out there. Sunrise this morning was 5:59. Sunset tonight, 7:55. If you'd like to send us a picture of a sunrise, sunset, great pictures from your very own vacation, or just around here in the community, we'd love to see them. Email us, lagunawoodsvillagetv@gmail.com. Make sure you include your name, where you took the picture, and we will use it in our sunrise, sunset segments. Okay, no meetings to tell you about, so we're going to come right back with El Toro Water District and where we get our water.
Did you know that tinnitus or ringing in your ears can be a sign of hearing loss? Hi, I'm Dr. Gabby Rodriguez, one of the audiologists here at Amazing Hearing. Contrary to what many doctors may tell you, tinnitus can be helped and often eliminated.
I'm a doctor and I thought I'd have to live with the tinnitus, and my hearing has gone from loud tinnitus to no tinnitus in a week and a half.
Call us today for a free consultation. Amazing Hearing, the hearing and tinnitus experts.
Looking for a change of scenery? You don't have to play golf to enjoy all that 19 Restaurant and Lounge has to offer. From our delicious breakfast menu to our delectable lunch and dinner specials. At 19 Restaurant and Lounge, there is something for everyone. Relax with your friends and family and take in the beautiful view from our spacious patio. Or enjoy a cocktail and appetizer in our lounge. 19 Restaurant and Lounge is a great place to socialize, enjoy a meal, or simply take in the view. Join us 7 days a week and experience Laguna Woods' exclusive dining experience.
And welcome back to This Day. I want to welcome to the program from the El Toro Water District Vice President Mike Gaskins.
Right.
Six years now serving on as a board member there.
And I've loved every
director?
minute of it. It's been a great retirement thing to do to keep my brain juiced up and keep involved.
Did you ever imagine you'd ever know this much about water and how it works and how it functions and the quality?
Probably, because my degree is marine biology.
Oh, there you go.
And science is my thing, you know, and I actually worked in a laboratory for over 7 years doing this kind of testing. So I have a lot of knowledge about this. But the more global picture I now get interacting with other districts and other organizations.
And their challenges and their things that we do. One of the challenges we have is where our water supply comes from. We don't have any groundwater sources in this
Correct.
area, right? What is the geology behind that? Is just the kind of the clay and the dirt, the way the
Luck of
water.
draw,
Yeah.
all the northern county are within the Santa Ana River Basin gravels, you know, which water can percolate down
Right.
through. We have siltstone, more consolidated geology, and we simply don't have spongy dirt under us
Right.
that can absorb water.
Okay, that's just the luck of the draw.
Right, and it's sometimes talked as the north and south as the haves and haves not.
And so our two water supplies come from the Colorado River and the State Water Project, basically.
Most of it, yeah. And some of it takes a little detour and goes through a more local treatment plant, the Baker treatment plant. But still, that's where our water comes from. We don't pump anything in our district.
So talk to us about the water quality and how you guys basically come down to the report that I've recently mailed out in June 24. What does it tell us about the water quality? We're still doing well?
Well, yeah, here's the report
There it
that we
is.
sent out to everybody, all the residents, every if you're not even a customer. And if you went through this, it confused you. Most of you, I know that there are people here in the village that have no problem with this. You know, I've talked to you. I know you're out there. But all these numbers, most of them are generated by the Metropolitan Water District as the water comes into the distribution system. And so all of this is here, but then more on the local basis, we have to continue to assure that all the standards are met. And the standards of water are defined in this book, which I brought
Right.
along to share
That's
with
that's an oldie. That's an oldie from what from the 90s.
1992. And
There
the
you go.
reason, there's a couple of more recent editions, but this is the one our lab had.
But it's a great
the shelf.
example of the standards that go into it and all of the things, right? Now this is all on the web, I imagine now.
It's
these
on the web
days.
now, so this is not as impressive maybe as it was, but the information is. And if you're going to test for chlorine, the way you do it is in here.
Right.
If you're going to test for any other parameter, bacteria or a particular type of bacteria,
Yeah.
it's in
Lead, whatever it might
lead,
be.
copper, everything. It's in here. This is the Bible, so to
That's
speak.
the
And-
how-to make sure your water's good book.
Right, and you need somebody who has a background. Your average person, even if you took high school chemistry, probably can't do this. It's beyond them. But the lab staff, we have 2 people in our lab. They are state certified, and they have to recertify and take to continuing education units. And they follow this to a T for the tests that we do.
And there's thousands upon thousands of tests every
Correct.
year that are being done, right?
Right, we have, within our district, we have 26 dedicated sampling spots, which are in metallic cans. And then if there was a problem at one of those, based on data that we got, we'd have to go back and resample 2 connections up, 2 connections down, run it, and then confirm or, you know, talk about it being anomalous. And so you get up to, we have a lot of, over 90 collecting sites.
Now you can, all sorts of things can happen, right? In terms of like, oh, there's a problem here. Oh, maybe there's a pipe. Something's going wrong with the pipe, or somehow something got contaminated along the way, and that's how you narrow it down with all the little testing sites.
Right. You isolate where the point source of the contamination might be. The water flows in to our district. Most of it comes into our R6 reservoir and is distributed from there. We now have another feed that comes in off Moulton. There's a water tank, if I can get my geography, it's probably right there. And we've now been able to get water from the water supply and put it there, because the back corner of our district, in the maps on the wall, has always been low in chlorine because the water stays in there for so long. There's little through flow, and so it tends to stagnate. And we used to waste water, flush it in order to keep the chlorine residual up high enough to protect the water for bacteria.
Okay.
And during my term, we tapped into another pipeline that comes down Moulton Parkway and now we have better water coming in. It works out well for everybody.
Terrific. Now, are these bottles here? These that what you pick up the samples in from the multi-sample places? You fill those and then do the tests.
In particular, these are bacteria sample bottles. They are sealed. They're sterile. They have a chemical in here that removes chlorine, because we put chlorine in the water to kill bacteria. And if we're testing for bacteria, we don't want dead ones. Right? And so they'll take a sample, 100 milliliters. It comes back to the lab. The lab tech will subsample it in smaller and smaller pieces. And depending on, after that, they put it in a different thing in an incubator at body temperature. That's where you want the bacteria that you're looking for to grow. And depending on the number of cells in the sampling device that turn yellow under black light, it's kind of a hoo-tie. Used to be done on Petri dishes that you see in the labs with the bacteria food on them and stuff like that. But this is a very short, brief, we get an answer back in 24 hours.
Wow, okay.
The old rate, probably the one that's in here, I didn't really look, I should have. 72 hours. And so then we would have told you, well, you shouldn't have drank the water.
You should have been drinking that for the last 72 hours. Darn it all.
Darn it. This is a 24-hour test, and it's industry standard now. Are these nice problem with sample bottles? They take other samples than other just bacteria. We sample for chlorine, fluorine, nitrite, what are called trihalomethanes, which are a disinfection byproduct. But anyhow, the water is tested every week at 26 of these sites for all of these parameters, and they are not necessarily represented completely in here,
Right.
but we turn them out.
And how do we know the testers are testing right? They get tested as well throughout the year? They get kind of recertified as they go?
It's a state environmental lab, certified environmental lab. And periodically, about once a year, they send out samples, unknowns. We get a pop quiz.
Okay.
And the lab staff has to test the samples that are given by the state, and their answers have to be within a certain range. And it's a pass-fail. You know, you're either within range or you're not. And I used to do these when I worked in the lab, do the ELAP testing. I always was frustrated because I'd really like to see how close I was to the intended
They don't give you that, just pass, no pass.
Pass, no pass. And so, but no, it's carefully regulated, carefully monitored. The reality is most errors in these, even not just our district, but others, are reporting. Somebody put a decimal place in the wrong place. You know, and so that can sometimes be a violation.
Now, the way you guys monitor the water, the way everything goes, it seems as though you guys are totally on top of it in terms of that. Can you in recent memory recall anything that's gone wrong with the water?
Not within my recent memory.
Yeah.
Dennis Cafferty, who's our general manager, has a little more than 35 years here. So his institutional knowledge is impeccable. They have had a few positive bacteria, but most of them probably have been sampling errors rather than, because when you're taking the sample, I mean, if you touch, you know,
right, any little
and then
contamination.
You touch that and this is sensitive enough, the answers that come out of this, and I don't know if it's in here, but the answer for bacteria usually is less than 2. It's never 0, because we sample half of this, right? And so if we don't have a positive, we can say that there's less than 2 bacteria in here. If there were 2, we'd have gotten 1 in both sides, in both halves. But because we didn't get 1, it must be less than 2.
Right.
And this is sensitive enough. 1 bacteria in this, and if you've played with microscopes before, you can barely see a bacteria under your basic microscope. You have to get into really sophisticated stuff to actually see a bacteria. You can't see viruses at all.
Right. So in terms of how you keep the quality so good, and I know there's a very proactive approach to maintenance and replacement and keeping things up to date. And is that one of the reasons why the water, stays so consistently well and the delivery is still good?
Yeah, we have a complete program of exercising the valves, because I don't know how long it's been since you turned off the water stop behind your sink, or whether it will even turn. But we exercise the valves because if you need to be able to shut off something, you want it to work.
Right, you don't want those things to be locked up because they haven't
Right.
been touched in 20 years.
Right, and you don't want to slam it shut because then you get what's called a water hammer, and it shakes the whole system and can break and have leaks. So I mean, it's the people that work. We have around 60 total employees, and they're all really good at what they do. We have somewhat of an advantage because our general manager teaches at Rancho Santiago, and he teaches water science. So when
He's
he
on
gets
top
a
of it.
really good student, he says, hey, I've got a deal for you.
Yeah, shoot them your way.
First,
All right.
first shot at recruiting.
Keep those new
Good stuff.
generations coming over at the El Toro Water District. Mike Gaskins, thank you so much for joining us today and getting us updated on what's going on over at the district.
Well, it's a pleasure again, and the customers can call anytime, and we'd be glad to work with you.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.
The King Living mid-year sale is on now. 5 decades of Australian furniture design, crafted for a lifetime of comfort. So why buy ordinary furniture when you can come home to King? Sale on now. The King Living mid-year sale is on now. Save up to 50% on Australian designed, award-winning furniture. So why buy ordinary furniture when you can come home to King? Sale on now.
At Adapt to It, we strive to make the everyday tasks easier by providing our customers with the tools they need to be successful. We carefully explain the use and care of all of our equipment. Adapt to It has been in Laguna Woods for over 20 years, and we know that nothing in life stays constant. So we can help you adapt to all the changes in your life. Adapt to It sells and rents items and always delivers with a smile. Come in today to experience what we mean when we say, when you can't change it, adapt to it.
Happy Friday and welcome to this week's episode of Sports Corner. I'm Cole Young and I've been saying how much I'm looking forward to it for months now, but the Olympics are officially here. Today at 10:30 a.m., the opening ceremonies will begin in Paris, France. This summer's opening ceremonies are historic because it's the first time ever they will take place outside of a stadium. This time, approximately 10,500 athletes will float down a 4-mile stretch of the Seine River on 104 boats, all ending up outside the Eiffel Tower. Even though the official opening is today, some events are already underway. Both our men's and women's soccer teams have officially begun group play, with the men facing host country France on Wednesday. The men's team then goes on to face New Zealand tomorrow, and then Guinea next Tuesday. The women's national team took on Zambia yesterday, then will face Germany on Sunday, and Australia on the 31st. Rugby, archery, and handball all also began on Wednesday and Thursday. Other than the ceremonies, there's just one badminton match tonight, but the full slate of all the action officially begins tomorrow. Tomorrow, teams and athletes from the U.S. will compete in soccer, water polo, beach volleyball, hockey, and so much more. For me, the hardest part of the Olympics is choosing who and what events to watch. So here are a few athletes to pay attention to throughout the Olympics. Both of our men's and women's basketball teams are expected to win medals, and it was announced earlier this week that LeBron James will be the flag bearer for the U.S. today during the ceremonies. In the realm of gymnastics, all eyes will be on Simone Biles, the most decorated gymnast in history and one of the greatest athletes in history. She's a 9-time national champion, a 6-time world champ, and a 7-time Olympic medalist, including 4 golds. She has several skills and vaults named after her, and is expected to return to dominance after a tumultuous Tokyo Olympics. On her team is gymnast Suni Lee, the reigning Olympic all-around champion. She is also the gold medal favorite on the uneven bars. Fred Richard will represent the men's gymnastics team. And Richard was spectacular at Olympic trials, winning the all-around and high bar and earning the only automatic berth onto the Paris team. His main goal will be to help the team earn its first Olympic medal in 16 years. Both of our men's and women's track teams are absolutely loaded with talent. Noah Lyles is a 6-time world champion sprinter who has a pretty solid shot at winning at least 3 medals at the Olympics. In addition to likely participating on the men's 4x1 relay team, he also qualified in the 100 and 200 meter sprints with a pair of wins at the US trials. For the women, Sydney McLaughlin is one of the greatest track athletes in history. In her 3rd Olympic Games, McLaughlin will look to defend her 400 meter hurdles medal while also competing in the 400 meter sprint. At the Olympic trials, she ran an insane 48.75 400 meters and set her 5th world record in the 400 meter hurdles with a time of 50.65. One sport that's still relatively new to the Olympics is surfing. This summer, the surfing events will be held at one of the biggest, scariest, and most beautiful surf breaks in the world at Chopu, Tahiti in French Polynesia. Among our Team USA roster this year are some of the greatest surfers ever, like Carissa Moore and John Florence, and more. And there's a newcomer this year who is from right here in Orange County. 25-year-old Griffin Colapinto finished 3rd overall in the World Surf League last season, qualifying him for the Olympics this summer. Colapinto is currently the top-ranked surfer in the world, and he was born and raised in San Clemente. He's looking to bring Team USA home with a gold in his Olympic surfing debut. There are a million other athletes I could highlight here, but it would take me all day. So, lastly, I have to talk about Katie Ledecky. Ledecky is a 10-time Olympic medalist and has won 7 gold medals. She's a captain for the U.S. swim team and is one of the best athletes in the sport's history. Paris will be her 4th Olympic appearance, and if she wins 2 more medals, she'll be the most decorated female American Olympian in history. If she gets 2 more gold medals, she'll have the record for the most gold medals by any woman in the sport. I have to point out too, Ledecky doesn't win these races by millimeters most of the time. To put it in perspective, her top event is the 1500 meter swim. She owns the top 19 times in history in that race. At the US Olympic swim trials in June, she beat the rest of the field by over 20 seconds. It's very common that she wins that race by the length of the pool, if not more. All of our Olympic athletes will be must-watch TV, so be sure to tune in to as many events as you can, no matter the sport, until the closing ceremony on August 11th. Our Olympic golf team is also pretty stacked with talent. Xander Schauffele, the only golfer on our roster with a medal to his name, is on an absolute hot streak in the PGA. 2 months after Schauffele captured his first major championship victory at the PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky, he added a second one this past Sunday at the 152nd Open Championship at Royal Troon Golf Club. 7 different golfers started the final round within just 1 stroke of first place. At the end of the day, Schauffele was the man hoisting the claret jug at the iconic course on Scotland's coast. He posted a 6 under 65 on Sunday, and his total of 9 under put him 2 strokes ahead of the rest, securing his win. Schauffele's win is also the 7th consecutive major won by an American golfer, the longest streak since they won 13 straight from 1974 to 1977. Since he won both the Open and PGA Championship this year, it's the first year since 1982 that U.S. golfers claimed all 4 majors after Scottie Scheffler won the Masters and Bryson DeChambeau captured the U.S. Open. The Olympics could not have come at a more perfect time since the rest of the sports world is always pretty slow this time of year. We still have had golf events, UFC fights, F1 races, MLB regular season, and different soccer cups, but still doesn't feel quite the same as when the MLB, NHL, NFL, and NBA are all in mid-season. But in wonderful news, the NFL offseason is officially over. Teams have all reported to training camp this week, and the preseason games will begin starting with the Hall of Fame game next Thursday, August 1st. This year's matchup will be between the Chicago Bears and Houston Texans. Every year, this game not only is the start of the preseason, but the game also kicks off Enshrinement Week in Canton, Ohio, where this year 7 players will be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This year, Dwight Freeney, Randy Gradishaw, Devin Hester, Andre Johnson, Steve McMichael, Julius Peppers, and Patrick Willis will be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 5 out of these 7 inductees were heroes of my childhood and some of my favorite players of all time. Pretty crazy to see them reaching the highest level of the sport. While football isn't an Olympic sport, at least until 2028 when we get flag football, it's still a staple of the US, so I had to mention it in the same conversation as the Olympics. But right here in the Village, our own mini Olympics are just around the corner. The 2024 Village Games will begin in October, but it's almost time to register. Registration for the month-long competition will open on Monday, August 5th. The games will feature competitions in swimming, volleyball, table tennis, pickleball, poker, tennis, golf, archery, bocce ball, and so much more. The games will begin on October 7th and run through October 31st. So, if you have any interest in competing in one or any of these events, make sure you sign up starting on Monday, August 5th, and start training and practicing now. As always, thank you for joining me on this week's episode of Sports Corner. I've said it a million times, but check out as many Olympic events as you can this week and for the next few weeks. On top of that, regular season baseball is still going strong, and teams are approaching the trade deadline, hoping to boost their rosters for the last time to make a playoff push. Come right back next week for more news, updates, and highlights from all across the sports world. In a few weeks, I'll give my annual NFL season preview and playoff predictions. That never goes as well as I hope it will, but still pretty entertaining. Anyway, I'm Cole Young. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.
Do you suffer from low back pain? Hoag Orthopedic Institute is the #1 provider of orthopedic and spine care in Orange County. Our Back to You program is a unique, non-operative, evidence-based approach to treating low back pain. Our spine strengthening program combines physical therapy with education on pain and nutrition. Let Hoag Orthopedic Institute's Back to You program get you back to doing what you love. For more information, visit hoiexperts.com/spine or call 855-999-4641 to find a doctor.
Welcome back. We got a great Friday movie for you. It's based on a true story. It's kind of fun, got some interesting characters, some very interesting history to it. It is Charlie Wilson's Ward. It features Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts. It's brought to us by Harvard Eye Associates. It's going to be at 2 p.m. with the subtitles and 6 p.m. without the subtitles. The film's based on the true story of U.S. Congressman Charlie Wilson and a CIA operative whose efforts led to the Operation Cyclone, which was a covert operation to support Afghan Mujahideen during the Soviet-Afghan War. That showcases how Wilson initially was more interested in partying than really being in politics, but he became deeply involved in the Afghan cause after visiting refugee camps and witnessing the impact of the Soviet invasion. So that is going to be our Friday movie, and it should be a great one. I enjoyed watching it way back then in the theaters, and is a good one to revisit now. Let's take a look at our weather forecast before we head out. And we got a warm day today, really last of the warm days out there. And then we get to the cooler, almost spring-like temperatures for the weekend and into next week. We're going to have a little bit of a return of the marine layers starting tomorrow probably. So really early morning clouds are burning off pretty quickly and leaving us in basically the 80s and high 70s for the rest of the week. So it should be nice. Get out there and enjoy yourself. And tomorrow on this day, on Saturday, we're going to have In Vision with Dr. Raouf. And we're going to tour the golf facilities here and visit also the 19th restaurant. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be out in the field with Tom McRae, and he's going to show us around everything that has to do with golf right here in the Village. That's going to do it for this edition of This Day. For all of us here at Village Television, we hope you make this day a great one.